Hey guys, Katie here with today's Live and Learn. I am super excited for this one because we're going to be talking insurance here. And let's see if we can bring our insurance guru on. Spacey, are you there? Let's see, we'll invite her to come on here. Okay. So yeah, back to the show. We're going to be talking about insurance, like as in what kind of insurance do you need? Hey Spacey, did you get the notification? Let's bring you on camera here. It's Ad. Come on, come on. So anyways, all about insurance, what you need, do you have enough? Because that can be kind of scary if you're in a situation you don't have enough. There she is.
Hello. I think I'm on quiet mode.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Awesome.
How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I am awesome. So good to see you.
Sorry. As soon as
You're
I get
fine.
this propped up there.
I have a little holder for mine, and sometimes it slips out, and it just goes bye-bye onto the floor.
I found a convenient, a little glass bowl that's holding it perfect, so I'm hoping it doesn't move.
Sweet. Super genius moms over here. So thank you so much for being with us today. I am so excited to talk to you because I think this is a topic that a lot of us kind of throw our head in the sand and avoid because it's scary and it's hard to understand. So we're going to hope that you make it a little bit easier for us today. You ready to rock?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So just tell us a little bit about Spacey, where you're from, how'd you get here, why are you in insurance anyway?
All right. So I originally started in Illinois, where I was born and raised for the first, X amount of years of my life. And then after college, I met my now husband, and we started in Illinois, and that's where I got my license. And then his job actually moved us to Georgia. So we lived in Georgia for 2.5 years, and then we came to Arizona in 2015. So all because of his job, it keeps moving us. So conveniently with my job, I can just keep adding insurance license to every state we go to, and I can just keep expanding the insurance business that I have. And then with the insurance business, so it is a family agency. It is myself and my two cousins. They are actually located in the headquarters in Illinois. They kind of needed a succession plan. They say in about 10 years, they want to completely retire, go live the retired life. So they needed someone to, start in the business and then eventually completely take over all of their clients. So I got myself licensed, and then here I am. We have Illinois, Georgia, Florida, and Arizona.
Awesome. But this wasn't the industry that you started in when you started life out, right?
It was not. I used to do pharmaceutical sales. So I did that for 6 years. Loved it. It was so much fun. And then then I got pregnant with our first. And in that time frame, we knew my husband was going to get relocated to Georgia. So I knew he was going to start traveling and not being around as much. So I knew I couldn't be traveling and doing this. And that's when my cousins kind of approached me and said, hey, how about some insurance? And I was like, no, thanks. Didn't sound fun, didn't sound appealing. And then the more and more they talked to me, and then I started studying. I was like, I could totally do this from home. Keep my oldest at the time with me because he's a baby. They don't make a whole lot of noise when they're so little, and start to build my clientele. So that's what I started to do. And then the more I started, learning about the business, getting involved in it, it just kind of took off. And now I can say that I do love insurance, and I, get excited when, I can help people save money. That's the biggest, thing that I love to do.
Awesome. So just real quick, because we've had a few moms that have been sort of interested in a career change. What, in a nutshell, what all is involved in getting your insurance license?
So basically signing up to get the courses. So for me, I took a property and casualty course and then a life and health. So those are the two main designations that you would get your insurance license in. So you basically study for the test. There's a bunch of different resources that you can learn the material. You can go to classes. Basically, you pay the state fee. You can take the exam, and they'll tell you if you pass. then they give you an insurance license. So as long as you can pass the state test, then you can get licensed as an insurance agent.
Awesome. So what you mentioned there's a license for life and then other stuff. So what type of insurance do you offer?
I can do property and casualty. So that's your basic home, renters, autos, motorcycles, RVs, even golf carts. And then I also do the life insurance, which there's multiple different types of life insurance, but I would say about 98% of everybody's looking for more like a term life, just to have some sort of protection in the event that, either their spouse or themselves were to die.
Gotcha. So let's talk a little bit about life insurance, because I think that's, I don't know, in my experience, that's the type of insurance that either A, not a lot of people get because they don't know about it, and B, they're just really, really confused, so they don't get it because it's too damn confusing. So can you just tell us a little bit about what all is out there as far as the different types of life insurance? Because as I understand it, there are two.
Yep. So there is what is called term life insurance, and basically it's kind of called use it or lose it. So you can select a term amount, anywhere 10 years, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, and you can select the amount of insurance that you want. And then basically, if during the term time that you select that year frame, if you were to die, then the amount that you select gets paid out to your beneficiary. So a lot of the times, husbands will want to get that because in case that they were, to die, they want to be able to leave their wife and their children with money to be able to pay for the funeral, pay off the mortgage. If they don't own a home, at least be able to buy a home, and then to be able to give their spouse, some cushion. So like if the wife currently doesn't work and she would have to go get a job, they wouldn't be in a financial situation where, they're not able to make payments, or just to, kind of alleviate the spouse that's left, some of the hardship of, having the primary role now.
Mm-hmm. So, and then there's another type, right?
There's whole life. And we kind of say that's more of a savings account. You are able to earn interest on it. It is more expensive. So a lot of times when, clients will hear how much it costs per month, it's, kind of surprises them, shocks them, and they think there's no way I can afford this. So that's kind of, there's two different, if you're not able to save and you need this to help you save. And then when you decide, if you don't die and you decide, oh, I want to cash this out, there is a cash value. But I would say based on term life versus, whole life, most of the time the policies are at least 10 to 15 times more expensive a year.
Wow. So do you find that people go more for term than whole?
Yes. So most of my clients, I would say probably 98% of them do term life just because it's easier to afford. They break it down into a monthly payment and they don't feel the hit as hard as that. And the only time that, I do have clients that do have a whole life, but they are mostly children. Parents will purchase a whole life policy on their children solely for the expense of if your child were to pass away, it'd be a basic burial expense because some families aren't, prepared to pay for a burial. So they will do that for their children. And then once their children hits 18 or any age, they will pass the policy off to their children, and then their children are set with some sort of a life insurance policy as well.
Awesome. Why do you think people avoid this topic in getting life insurance and even educating themselves on it?
Because basically life insurance is not fun to talk about. Everybody would, knows that they need to have it, but they just want it, but they don't really want to have to think about it. And the last thing, a couple wants to think about is their significant other dying. So it's kind of a topic that people just want to avoid. Or a lot of the times clients will say, we have, life insurance with our company, but the only issue with that is if you were to lose your job, switch jobs, the life insurance doesn't follow you. So the older you get, the more expensive insurance gets. So a lot of times, they'll think, I'll be with this employer, forever. And then when they get laid off, and if they can't find another job or their new company doesn't offer it, then they're without it. And then when they start shopping when they're in their 30s, 40s, or 50s, the price does go up substantially, and it does get a little bit harder to get the coverage that you need because the premiums are, way more expensive.
So it makes more sense to look into this the younger and more healthy that you are.
Yes.
Versus just say, meh, who cares? I'll deal with it when I'm 40, 50, 60 years old.
Yes. And a lot of the times, people in their 20s are like, I'm healthy, I'm fine. And honestly, even 30s, it's like, that's when you need to be applying for the insurance, because everybody will go through medical testing. So depending on the amount of insurance that you want, there are different tests that the life insurance companies will require you to take, and you'll have, they will get your medical records. So, your rates will be based on how healthy you are and how your tests come back.
Gotcha. So what kind of tips might you have, or resources, things like that, for people to kind of start on this road and really dig in and figure out, because we don't ever want to pay more than what we need to, right?
Absolutely.
But then we also don't want to buy too little and then be stuck being kind of in a bad situation, let's just say, if something, heaven forbid, were to happen. So do you have any tips, resources of how our moms could just go down this road? Like what can they use right away?
So a lot of the times when we sit down and talk to clients, we always say, you need to have an idea of, how much it would take to pay off your mortgage, how much, debt that you guys have. Because if something, we'll just use a spouse. If a spouse were to pass away, you're going to, most of the time, the other spouse is going to debt. It's going to fall upon you as being, the next of kin for them to pay it off. So we always say, what would it take to pay off the mortgage, pay off any outstanding debt, and just kind of give you, like an even playing field. So when you start out now, you don't have to worry about, bill collectors coming and, paying everything off. So we always do say, like, let's at least get your debt covered. And then if you do have children, are you going to want to be able to put those children through college? Are you want to be able to, be able to at least pay for them to get to 18 to, support them. And then if you want to turn them loose at 18, then that's your decision. But we always say, you at least want to cover them until they do reach, 18 years of age.
So what if, just a quick question, what if you're unmarried?
So if you're unmarried, a lot of the times we'll say, like, they're always like, well, who would I leave my money to? And a lot of times, you can leave it to anyone. If you have siblings, if you're parents, if you want to leave it to your parents, you can leave it to them, and then they would use that money for your funeral. And then if you leave behind any, expenses, whoever is your next of kin there, they are going, to try to come for your debt. So, but yeah, anybody can be the beneficiary of your life policy. It doesn't have to be a spouse. It doesn't have to be, you could, I could name you on my beneficiary if I wanted to, you can give it to anybody that you want.
Gotcha. Well, I think that's really important because, in this day and age, we're not all married to our children's other parent. And so I think that's super important right there to know that you can name whoever you want to name. You don't necessarily have to have the piece of paper between you that says your husband and wife or whatever.
Right.
So
you can,
cool. Any other tips?
You can also leave it to your children. So like we have a lot of husbands and wives, they'll name each other. And then as, the second beneficiary, they will start to list their children. So you can even, leave your children, as that. However, if you do have smaller, children that are not of 18 years of age, hopefully you have, your will and all of that, spelled out. And then, it'd go into hopefully their trust, however you have it set up.
Can you leave it to your cat?
If you wanted to. There have been some eccentric celebrities that left their multi-million-dollar estate. She left it to their, I think, our 2 dogs, or was it cats? I can't remember. Left it to her
well,
pets.
there was this, I'm dating myself. Maybe I'm kind of old. So back in my young days, the National Enquirer, you remember that magazine, that tabloid?
Yes.
So I just remember when I was super young, reading some article. I couldn't even, I was too young to even understand anything. And I was like, oh, all this money left to this lady's cat. I don't know. I've just always remembered that.
Yeah,
kind of
I
funny.
remember that too. So don't worry, I'm old too.
You're old like me? Sweet. We can be
Yes.
2 old mamas, group full of youngsters. Cool. Is there anything else that we didn't go over that you wish to add?
I mean, there's tons of different topics, and like some people might have like one-off questions. If you want, feel free to comment in this thread. I will come back through and I'll try to answer as many as I can, or I can private message you if you want, and we can get into a little bit more detail. Because a lot of the times, like, each life insurance isn't kind of, we custom build it for each person. So like what you might have would be completely different than what I might want, or, there's different options. I know someone, Athena had commented about,
comments. Yeah.
Yep, about child riders. That is definitely something that we do. Each carrier, so I have about 30 different life insurance companies that I work with. So each carrier will have different requirements, how much a child rider can be, the cost, and like the age and all of that. So there's kind of not just a one simple answer depending on which carrier we go with. I can specifically tell you like the requirements for them.
So it's kind of like, in my industry, when people are getting pre-qualified, it's really tough to give a general response that works for everybody. It's really a case-by-case thing. So definitely, moms, comment below. Spacey will come back. You'll come back, today, tonight, tomorrow, whatever, and respond to the comments and questions, right?
Right. Absolutely. And feel free, like, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. There's just a little delay. How can they get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you privately and have a deeper conversation?
Absolutely. So on this video thread, I will go ahead and put my Facebook page, and then I will give you my phone number and my email. If you want to private message me on my page, if you want to private message me to my Facebook account, you can call me, you can send me an email. I will answer them. And then if you have any, specific questions about yourself, then, we can definitely get into more detail. If you don't want to, put it on this video thread, just feel free to message me, call me, email me, and can definitely help you try to find something that fits your specific needs.
Awesome, Spacey. Well, we've got a couple of comments like we saw. So thank you, moms, for watching, and thank you guys for your comments. I am super excited, and yes, Cynthia, I think that it is a super much needed topic and great content as well. So thank you, Spacey, for being with us today. We love having you in the group, and we will see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.